record. So anything you say or do can and will be recorded in perpetuity on YouTube. So let's make it count. Great to have everybody today, even though it's a small group, but I know it's October 5th. People are busy. October is actually, by transaction closings, the busiest month historically in Sun Valley. It's October for some reason. And so in a resort town, I think all the people come and play in the summer, and they get their realtor and they make deals, and then those deals close in October. So typically October is super busy on a closing end for us, even though it's a little bit slower on an activity and just a little insight into our world here in Sun Valley. Speaking of insight, speaking of numbers, speaking of busyness, I want to share something which I think is awesome with you. Okay, and you might go, well, whatever, what am I supposed to do with these big picture numbers? I'll tell you what to do with them in a moment. So I'm going to share my screen, and you're going to see something that I think is going to make you go, wow, this is freaking awesome. Okay, so I don't want you to see it without me talking about it. So here we go. Oh, hi, I won't say freaking anymore. Sorry, Jess. So we've got numbers for the last 3 years company-wide. Okay, and keep in mind our company has grown by office, so of course our numbers are going to get bigger. But our numbers are getting bigger, and this is really cool. I just did a report in IQO and OMs. I can show you how to do this if you want to be able to do this for your office. And this is 2016, the entire year, 12 months worth, and then 2017 through the beginning of this month. So we have a year-to-date comparison for last year. Okay, look at these numbers real quick. Everybody looking? Great. In 2016, the company did 1,256 sides. Excellent. That's fantastic. That's world beating right there. $346.3 million in sold volume, which resulted in $8.8 million in GCI. And we probably had about 140, 150 agents at that time. You can do the math, but let's say, I can't do the math actually. So that was our entire year of 2016. Okay, pretty cool. Through 9 months of 2017, we totally crushed those numbers. So even after 9 months, we crushed the entire year of 2016. Year to date last year, 1,617 sides, 439.9 million in sold volume, 11.2 million in GCI, which is really the number because GCI is what you don't take home, but it's what you kind of take home. So that's a big deal. Okay, anyone can look at this and see where I'm going. You know what the next slide's going to look like. You know that I wouldn't be showing this if 2018 wasn't surpassing 2017, because that's the type of guy I am. You ready for 2018? Yes? Okay. Year to date. Remember, 2017 year to date, 1,617 sides. 2018 year to date, 2,031 sides company-wide. I'll get to these percentages in a minute. 634.5 million in sold volume company-wide through 9 months. That puts us at about 850, 900 million for the year. We have a good third, fourth quarter. We'll get to $1 billion. 17.8 million in GCI through 9 months of this year. Okay, that's 26% over last year at this time. That's 44% over in sold volume over last year at this time, and up 60%, 59% GCI over last year at this time. These numbers are what we were over the entire year of 2016. So through 9 months of 2018, we're 61% over the entire year of 2016 in size, 83% in volume, 102% in gross commission income over the entire year of 2016. That, my friends, is growth. That, my friends, is awesome. That, my friends, is agents putting the pedal to the metal, right? Metal to the pedal, pedal to the metal. Pedal to the metal, using the tools, using the systems, using your OMs, your MDs, your company, and making things happen. Why am I showing this to you now? Well, we just finished the third quarter, and I think looking at quarter benchmarks is important. And so here's the question. So what? I'm an agent. I'm Bob McHugh in Montrose. How am I going to talk about a huge company in 3 states, 7 offices? Because this is part of who you are. You are part of a company that is continuing to outpace every market by 100 to 200 to 300%. If the MLS in Montrose is up 7% this year, you can talk about your company's up 26%. These are things you can use in your narrative as you're trying to get buyers and sellers and people to work with you. You are part of a very powerful machine. And that's why I want you to be able to use these numbers, add them to your script, add them to your narrative, and make sure that you're telling people about the company power you have from a marketing standpoint, from a support standpoint, from an exposure standpoint. It's all right here in these 3 years worth of numbers. If that's all you know, that's good enough. We are up 26% this year as a company in size, 44% in volume, 60% in GCI. You're not going to tell that to a client, but maybe you're talking to another agent. Well, I don't know about working at Coldwell Banker to see. Well, here's why you should know about it, because we're up 60% in GCI this year. Do you want to make some more money? Maybe come work with me over here. All right. That's that. Now the headache. Okay. Oh, hey, Mark Corner, my coach. There he is in the flesh. I'm going to call out some really big sales. We had an enormous week last week, too. And then, Dana, don't worry. I told you 11:10. We got 3 minutes, so I'm going to be quick. We had an enormous week company-wide last week. $28 million in sold volume in a week. That puts us like at 1.45 billion for the year if we had 51 other weeks like that, which we won't. But some ginormous sales. Usually I say 500,000 and above. I'm going 1 million and above this week because we have about 8 of them. Okay? And so, sorry, 500,000ers. You're in the second car this time. All right, I'm saving the biggest for last. But Karen Seitz, who works in the Vail office in Breckenridge and Silverthorne, had 2 closings. One was a Crest Drive for 1.2 list. The other was a lot for 1.04 list or something like that. Chrissy Gove here in Sun Valley, off the market. What did you say, Carrie? Yes, I am, Carrie. It's cold in here. She has a heater going. Carrie just said, why are you wearing 2 flannels? Because I'm a lumberjack like that. I'm a redundant lumberjack. She's got heaters going. She's got gloves on. She's got a hat out front. Thanks, Carrie. Leave me alone. Chrissy Govin in Sun Valley wasn't even on the market. $1.2 million list. Stephanie Reed Real Estate had both sides sort of a home in Sun Valley for 1.09. Oh, there's the big one. I'll skip over that. Janine Baird, Sun Valley, had 2 sides of a duplex, both of them listed for about 2.7 total, sold them both. Jen Colson in Vail, former managing director or directing manager and just all-around great agent, and she's on the voicemail of all of our offices because she's got that voice that makes people want to leave messages. She closed on Riverdance for 2. It was listed at 2175 or something like that. Nice job, Ms. Colson. Matthew Mengi, I don't even know how this happened, but in Bozeman, Mark, give him a hug if you see him. I've never even met him, I don't think. He double-sided something for 1.35. That's a big deal. That's awesome. But taking the cake, taking the cookies, taking everything he wants to take. Jim Jennings, JJ in Telluride, had a listing in town. This little, nice little home, but it's in town in Telluride. So just a blade of grass cost $4,000. 526 West Colorado. It was listed at $2.94 million, and the man closed it. So Karen, I see you on there. Jen, Eric, all of you Telluriders, give JJ high fives. I called him, left him a message, but who knows if he listens to those things. He's so busy. But Eric, super happy for your office. That's awesome, awesome stuff. And I couldn't be happier about the big production. It's not all about big numbers, but when our office does big things, it just feels good because the big ships always have little ships coming behind. You ever watch movies? That's what happens. All right, I got 30 seconds here. Dana, I'm going to introduce you real quick. Dana Rosner is our transaction, listen to me now, there's 2 ways I'm going to talk about this. She's our transaction manager, and she's our transaction, it's French, concierge, or as they say in France, concierge. And those are 2 different things. She's going to manage our transactions, whether you buy our service or not, just from that's there, good job, because that's her job and she's awesome at it. She's in the Montrose office. You can pay, and this will come out in a fan club later in the month, you can pay $175 to have her basically run your transaction. Make the calls to the inspectors, make the calls to the title, to bank, do all that stuff. Take hours off of your plate for $175 or more, depending on the size of the deal. But let's say $175. She will run your transaction. And you can go play golf, you can go skiing, you can go do more deals, you can go get a perm, whatever. But today, we're only talking about the management piece of it. Because what we offer as a company is oversight of your transactions. Okay? The concierge service is a paid service. What we're going to talk about today is just what you get as part of our company when you start doing deals. All right? Now, we're talking about this because our wonderful OMs have so much to do, and this system is so easy that OMs are pulling back a little bit from the transaction management that maybe you're used to. Oh, hey, OM, can you upload these documents? We're trying to pull away from that because these are 2 or 3 clicks, folks, and you should be able to do them yourself or hire our transaction concierge service to do it all for you for $175. Takes hours out of your life. You can go do whatever. Okay, I already said that. But I want everyone to know how to do this from soup to nuts. Is that the thing? From soup to nuts. Okay, so Dana, the in-house expert, is going to, Grace has a mustache on today. We are going to go over new listings, buyer under contract, seller under contract. Here's how it closes. Here's how I get paid. And in the next 40 minutes or so, Dana is going to make sure that everybody knows how to do this. And so does it mean you'll never have questions? Of course not. Your OMs and your MDs will always be here for that. But really, we want you to be able to, there's a metaphor for this, cook a grilled cheese sandwich instead of always having it made for you, okay? Because really it's as simple as a grilled cheese sandwich, and Dana, maybe I'm a little bit simplifying it, but really it's some butter, some bread, some heat, some cheese, ketchup. That's what we're gonna talk about today. All right, any questions before we jump into the world of Dana and transaction management? No? Excellent, okay. Glad to see a bunch of folks on here. Greg, is that Greg Peterson or Greg Strahan that is on here? I'm just curious. You can let me know through chat. All right, Dana, I am going to stop talking. I'm going to mute myself. Folks, anytime you have something to say, please don't use the chat because the share screen doesn't work with the chat. So unmute, ask a question. Can you repeat that? This is the time to do this, okay? If you're talking, though, about your own specific transaction and some little, what I call a zebra in the forest, which only happens in the rarest of situations, let's save that for later. Let's make sure that any questions we have are good for everybody. Okay? All right. Sorry, Dana, I took 3 minutes of your time. Let's, Dana Rosner, here you are. It's all yours.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So, first thing, when using IQ, it is best to use Google Chrome. If you guys don't know that. Internet Explorer is not going to work quite so well. So first in IQ Office, you want to do a new listing form. So you're going to go up here to the chain link attachment icon and go down to your office. I'm in Montrose, so I'm going to create a new listing form in Montrose. And this will tell your transaction coordinator, whoever's doing your compliance, everything about your listing, and they will create the checklist for you. So you will need to fill out this form every time you get a new listing or an under contract. So we'll go through this, just fill it out in as much detail as you can. You should have all of the information needed here. And again, like Derek said, you can do the transaction coordination, and we can talk about that later. But just go down the form, fill everything out as best you can. Then when you submit this form at the very end, it's going to go to your compliance person, which might be your office manager, or the transaction people in Grand Junction handle a lot of compliance. So again, we will create the checklist for you in IQ. So hit submit, don't forget to hit submit, otherwise it does not go through. So once you do that, then your checklist will be created for you. And so on, yeah.
Let me just interject for a second because this has been a little point of confusion. In IQO, a transaction, the terminology of transaction in IQO parlance means a listing. Once you have a new listing in IQO, that is, in IQO's world, a transaction. Unless you do this form, your listing really doesn't exist in our books. It can exist in MLS, and that's fine, but and if that form seems long, it's just because there's a lot of boxes and you're only clicking one. So it's like a 3-minute step, but that's how our company Teresa and Dana and Rocky and Miranda know something is happening. So that's got to start when you have a new listing. Okay.
Okay, that's correct.
Hey,
So
I'm not
then-
hearing any sound out here.
Bob, you can't hear sound? Okay, can everyone else hear me just fine? Yes, okay. So to get to your transaction that your compliance coordinator created for you, you will go to the financial tab and go to My Transactions. Okay, and then you're going to go and find that listing that you just created. So this is the one I just created. And you can view your checklist. So this is going to tell you everything that's required. So your compliance coordinator will turn everything blue that's required for your file. And that way you can make sure that you have all of the documents you need in order to close. So to upload all of your documents, you're going to click the boxes and go to Seller Documents. This is where you will upload from wherever you store your documents on your computer. Best practices here is to scan each document individually and save it to your computer individually. If you do it as a complete file, when we compliance your file and we say that something's missing just on one document, you're going to have to go through an entire packet to find it if you don't do it individually. So you want to upload and pick your location. So these are all of the ones that I want to upload from my desktop for this file. So you can click them all at once and upload them all at once. And how you name them here isn't as big a deal as long as you know what it stands for, but how you assign it in the checklist does matter. So it might take a little bit depending on how much you upload. So then you'll want to go through and hit Actions, Assign, and this will assign it to a checklist item. And then you'll want to pick the proper one. So this is a CBS, a contract to buy and sell. So that is a sales contract. So if you don't name it the same, you'll want to know what the name is in the checklist. And then you hit Save. Okay, so you want to go through all of these and make sure that all of them are assigned before you continue. Okay.
Dana,
So once you, yes?
I have a question. Once you assign it here, I can't see if it tells you it's assigned and you don't have to mess with it anymore. Does it say assigned anywhere, or do you?
This red circle right here means that it's assigned to a checklist item.
Okay. All right. So everybody, this is similar to like, you've just uploaded all your documents. That's like getting all the kids on the playground. Okay. Now we're all on the playground, but now we have to divide up into teams. Okay. So that's what this step is dividing all the kids that you brought to the playground onto the right team. And so if you just put them on the playground, it's cattywampus and nothing gets, it's just chaos. So this is akin to making sure that now there's something for these documents to actually do. So.
Yes. And so once you assign all of those, you can go to your checklist and confirm everything that you just did. And so I didn't assign all of them. As you can see, I still have some blue, but I uploaded. So once it turns orange, then you know you uploaded it. And then it'll be ready for review once you hit notify. So if you still
Dana,
have some blue, go ahead, Rocky.
Dana, this is Rocky from the Grand Junction office. I do contract compliance here. There is another way to actually upload your docs, which for us it's easier because I feel that when you upload the docs to the actual documents, they can go into the wrong file, and there's many times that we actually have source of water in a contract file because they can't see where they're actually uploading the docs. So I don't have access to your screen, but you can assign the docs on the right there where you're at.
Yeah.
And I find that it's easier to do that because you see exactly where you're actually uploading your file. So if you have your square footage disclosure, you see it, you can upload it straight from that file right on IQ, and you see exactly where those docs are going so that when it goes to us, we're not looking at a contract under seller's property disclosure or so forth. So that's just another way. I feel like it's easier that way, but you have two options that way.
So
Yes.
Rocky and
IQ. Oh, go ahead, Derek.
sorry, Dana. So Rocky and Miranda are also involved in transaction compliance and contract compliance. And I'm sorry I didn't point that out earlier. Nice to hear from you, Rocky. So the fact that there are two ways to do these things, be comfortable with one. As an agent, be comfortable with one and do it the same way every single time would be my suggestion. If the way Dana showed you is a little easier, great. Or Rocky's way, great, experiment. But then get fluent with one of them, and then so that you're not thinking, wait, which way should I do it? Just do one and be good with that. They both have their upshots, as you heard from Dana and then from Rocky. So thanks for chiming in there, Rocky. And sorry I missed you.
No problem.
Okay.
Thanks, Dana.
You're welcome. In IQ, there's a lot of different ways to do pretty much everything you want to do. So if you do want to do it this way, hit assign from seller documents and then check which one you want.
Okay.
Okay, and it'll tell you up at the top here what your checklist item is in case you forgot which one you clicked on. So you're looking for the seller's property disclosure, so then you want to know how you name it and click that box and hit save.
Jess had a question.
Okay.
So you said we assign it, which I've been doing, and we have to notify. Where is the notify button?
Okay. So once you've uploaded everything you want to upload, then you go to more up here and hit notify.
Okay.
And then that's going to send this message here to whoever does your contract compliance.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yep.
So once the contract compliance starts happening, then those of us that do contract compliance will go in and we will accept your document if it's correct, or we will unaccept it, and then you'll get a message back saying it was unaccepted, and you can hit the notes here and see why. So this one actually is fine, but for today, we unaccepted it. And so if it's accepted, it will be green and say accepted, or it'll be this red color and say unaccepted. And if it's still orange, that means it has not been looked at yet by your contract compliance coordinator.
Dana?
Yes.
Hi, I'm sorry. Will you please show me again where we notify you?
Yes. Right up here in more, right next to the close, click that and hit notify.
Thank you.
And so every time you upload something that you want us to review, you're going to want to hit notify, otherwise we don't know that you uploaded something. Okay? And if there is a checklist item that's not on this checklist, then you can add the checklist item. For example, if your contract falls through and you need to upload the termination documents, you can add a checklist item, and then you can say notice to terminate, and then you can put your notice to terminate and your earnest money release both in that, and then you would hit finish. Okay, and then that will be a required field for you, and then you can assign your documents there. But otherwise, everything else that you need should be in there already from the start. And there is miscellaneous documents here. Those are not required because not every transaction has those. But if you wanted to put a plat map in there or something along those lines, you can put it in there. Okay, any questions on that so far?
So really this folder, let's call it, is for the contract stuff that needs to happen to sell the property. And so plat maps would only need to go in there if it's somehow germane to the sale. But otherwise, plat maps and things can live in the MLS, I think is
Yep.
the right way. Can you hover, Dana, or click on that 9 square box up there at the top left, just so we can see what else is in these options? So details, financial people, really the two things you're looking at are the seller checklist and the seller documents. And I'll back up a second. What Dana showed you is going into seller documents and uploading things there. And I think what Rocky said is you can also do it from the checklist. You can upload things, and just whichever one you're more comfortable with. I think it's the same as having like a Nikon camera or a Canon camera. They both take great photos. Which one feels more comfortable? You figure it out, and then
Right.
the same one every single time.
Yep. So if you hire the transaction coordinator, which would be me, then I would do all of this for you. We would skip the notify, all of that. So once your transaction is closed with the title company, you will need to come back in here and upload the copy of the commission check or a wire confirmation and the closing packet from the title company. So don't forget that last step. That's how you will get paid. Okay, so next we will go to an under contract form. So you go back up to the chain link attachment icon and go to your office and then under contract form. And it's basically the same as the new listing form, but you will need to create it once your property goes under contract.
And this is buyer or seller, representing buyer
Yes.
or seller. So if you don't have any listings, but you got a buyer, you still come in and do this here.
Yes. And again, this is what will initiate your checklist to be created. If you have a listing, you already have a checklist for the listing side, but you will also be given a checklist for the under contract side. But we won't initiate your checklist until we have this form submitted to us. So this will give you all of the information. There's a little bit more information here because you're adding the buying side to it. But again, you should have all of that information from your buy-sell contract. And be very sure if there's any referrals on your listing or your buying side that you put those in here. It's very, very, very important. Okay, so then you're going to go all the way down and hit submit. Okay, and then to go back to your transactions, go up here and hit financial, my transactions.
Hold on a second. Can you back up one thing to the transactions or the financial? I just want to make sure, yeah, go down to the $ and see that pop out window. Folks, you're seeing more than you'll see on your screen because Dana's admin and OMs and MDs are admins. So you probably won't, you'll probably only see my transactions and my transaction reports. So when you open this and it looks different, that's okay. You're seeing a little bit more because Dana has access to a little bit more, okay? So just don't freak out when you only see a couple things when this thing pops up.
Yes. Okay, so my transactions, this will list all of your transactions that have a checklist created for you. So go down and find your property. This one, we're going to do Happy Canyon. Okay, so the details, this is the details that pops up. That's everything about your transaction that you just filled out on that form. Okay, so again, go to the buyer checklist. You can see everything that's required. We have one thing that's been accepted, one has been unaccepted, one has not been looked at yet, and everything else still needs to be uploaded. So again, same process. you can assign it straight from here by hit assign, or go to buyer documents. All of your documents you can upload from your desktop, wherever you have them. Okay, then click the ones that you want to upload. And then go in, Actions, Assign, and find the right checklist item. And it'll tell you up here, this is what I named it in my documents on my desktop. So you know which document you're looking at in case you don't remember, because you have a whole list here. So MLS, MLS, and then you can kind of confirm what you're assigning it to. So I would recommend name it something on your desktop that you're going to remember. So I just abbreviate everything. Seller's property disclosure. Okay, and once everything, it has a red circle, that means it has been assigned to a checklist item. And now we're orange, we've uploaded these items. So you go to More and hit Notify. And then you can just hit Finish, and that's going to send it to your contract compliance person and let them know it's ready for review.
So
one, go ahead.
Rocky and Dana and Miranda, if you're on the call, do you prefer, like every time I do something in here, I assign a document, do you want me to notify you every single time I do something in my transaction, or just after, you know, a bigger one or whatever? Like, I don't want to create a bunch of noise for you or a bunch of email noise for me if you don't want that. What are your guys' thoughts about how often I need to notify you?
I prefer when you upload the docs as they come, so that, you know, when it closes, we're not reviewing every single document. We're reviewing it as it comes. So, and you can get paid faster that way as well. So if there's anything that's outstanding, or, you know, anything that needs corrections, you can take it to the closing table with you if need be. So that's how I prefer. Miranda
I prefer
prefers
it
it
that
like that
way
as well.
also in Montrose. So I suggest to upload early, because typically you have at least a month for your transaction in a normal transaction. If not, just when you get the documents fully executed, don't bother uploading documents that are not fully executed, because we're going to unaccept it and tell you it needs to be executed. So try to upload once, everything's executed, as often as you get them, as early as you get them. And my goal for our agents here is to have this entire checklist, everything that's blue, should be green, with the exception of the closing packet, at least 3 days prior to closing. And that's not required, but that's just a good practice to get in the habit of. That way you know you're ready to go to closing and you don't need any final signatures. We do a lot of compliance reviews, so we are busy, you guys get busy, and that way you know you're good to go and no one's stressing at the last minute. And you guys can go in and check on your checklist prior to your closing, like the week of, and make sure it's green. If it's orange and it's approaching your closing date, you can ask your compliance person to review the file for you. But that's why when we get that notification, we're going to pull up your checklist, hopefully that day, and take a look at it.
Dana, may I ask for clarification? This is Karen McCarthy again.
Yep.
Okay, let's say I have a listing and it's gone under contract and I am not double siding it.
Okay.
So I already have it in my system as a listing, of course. Do I need to now go in and do an under contract, even though I'm not the buyer's representative?
Yes.
I do. So now in
it
both,
is helpful, because like this example here, It's under contract and we just have the listing side. So you'll see in the checklist, there's an under contract checklist for sales documents. And then there's another checklist at the bottom that's listing documents. These listing documents are going to remain in that checklist because this transaction could fall through, but you still have the listing if this one terminates. So that's why there's two different checklists there. And if you do have both sides, it's a different checklist. It's an in-house and you'll just have one. But we want to make sure if this one terminates, you're not going to be going back and re-uploading all of your listing documents.
Yeah, so I think to clarify, and someone correct me if I'm wrong, whether you have a listing or whether it's a buyer or whatever, when something goes under contract, you have to go to that chain link and do an under contract form. You can't do it from your listing that exists there. So does that help, Karen? And Grace had.
Just to reiterate, I know that the office managers have been instructed to document any sort of changes in production using the new listing and the under contract form. So the way that we identify the past week's new sales or new listings and new under contracts are through those forms. So it's really important that people fill those forms out, or otherwise your changes aren't going to be captured.
Yes, that is also correct. And the under contract form has all of that buying information. So who the opposing broker is, what the split percentages are, all of that information. So those two forms, this is under contract and the new listing, are very important and must be done. Okay, and remember, if you have a referral, make sure it goes on this form and into your checklist. Okay, so then again, once you're done uploading everything, go to more and hit notify, and then finish, and then wait for us to send you a notification back saying everything's good, or this is missing a signature or a date, and you can go in and double check. If it's red, make sure you hit the notes there, and then you'll know what you need to do for that particular document. So that's another reason to upload things individually, so that if I tell you that the source of water is missing the contract date, you're not going through your entire packet of 75 pieces of paper to find that one piece of paper. So I think that's pretty much it. Just make sure you stay in communication with whoever is doing your compliance. Let them know, if dates change, which you should upload and amend extend, and we will be looking at that and notating any changes. But all of your information is listed here also. So you can double check all of our work as well. But as to not delay your payment for closing, make sure everything is uploaded early and often so we can have time to review it for you.
Okay, don't stop sharing quite yet, Dana, because I want to make sure that if anyone has any questions about anything, we haven't lost your screen. So now that you've been given the soup to nuts look at this, what's puzzling you, or what needs clarification at this point for any agents or OMs out there? There will be an attachment that comes along with the recording of this so that you'll be able to read along if that's easier than watching a video. I was a little bit abrupt at the beginning. So Dana is one of our transaction contract compliance managers, that sort of thing. We've got two others. We've got Rocky and Miranda, and they all have different regions or offices that they're working with. If you remember at the beginning, we have 2,000 plus sales that have happened this year. There's no way one person can handle all of those. So we've got this split up. Plus we have in Sun Valley, I think Grace does the bulk of ours, and then in Bozeman, the new OM will do the bulk of theirs because we're in different states. So anyway, you've got a team behind you looking at these things. Dana, if I'm an agent, and thank God I'm not, and I have a question about something and it doesn't get answered by the notify back and forth, who do I reach out to? My OM? Is there an email? What's my help route?
I would say you should talk to your OM first because they're in your office. It might be something that they can answer, but because we are all taking care of different regions, you're more than welcome to email me or call me, and then I'll find out who it needs to go to. But your OM will know who's doing your contract compliance as well.
Okay, excellent. So start with your OM, and if it's a question your OM can't answer, we'll move it along up the chain. But agents, the point of this really, and I think at this point, Dana, you can stop sharing your screen and we'll go back to the Hollywood Squares look. That was great, thanks. The point of all of this is to give you, the agent, not more to do, but just a little bit more oversight over your own transaction. If your process is to say, hey, OM, here are my docs, you know, we want to move away from that. That's the key here. Or here are my docs and here's 4 bottles of wine. That's what it could look like at this point. But we really want to move away from just dumping the stuff onto the OMs and expecting them to take care of it. Because as you saw, Dana spent 28 minutes, Dana and Rocky and Miranda was on the call too, spent 28 minutes going over this from beginning to end, and it was very detailed. And so getting a transaction loaded, you know, should be a 15 to 20 minute process once you have the paperwork on your computer somewhere. So we're not talking about a huge thing. We hope that agents can start to do more of this. Our OMs can focus more on the other support stuff, setting up showings, filling candy bowls, all the things that make offices hum. So that's where we are with it right now. Dana, that was awesome. Rocky, really appreciate the insights and all of that. So thanks so much. And Miranda, if you're on the call, I didn't mean to exclude you earlier. Any last things we need to do before we close up shop on today's fan club? I do want to make sure we say hi. Some of you may not have met Grace. She's our OM in Sun Valley. She's been at the job for about a month and is awesome. And Jessica, who is titled as Chuck Armbruster, but raises that game about 400%, is our OM in Steamboat. Hi, Jessica. Nice to see you. And everybody else is blacked out. But I will say, Bob, I hope we didn't bore you too much. You had a couple big yawns in there, but it is Friday. I get it. So that's all good. Dana, that was awesome. Thanks a ton. And if you have any questions about any of this, talk to your OMs, email me, or email transactioncoordination@coldwellbankersv.com, and you'll get all your questions answered. Everybody, keep up the great work. Have an awesome weekend. And as they used to say on Hill Street Blues, a Chicago show, if I am correct, Grace from Chicago, be careful out there, or something like that. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.